On The Great British Baking Show, a baking disaster usually means a heavy sponge or a sunken middle, but beyond the iconic tent, some members of the cast have endured deeply emotional hardships. When The Great British Baking Show moved from the BBC to Channel 4 in 2016, it triggered a major overhaul in the lineup of hosts and judges. The shakeup also reportedly strained some off-screen relationships. Of the original team, only judge Paul Hollywood chose to stay, a decision that sparked plenty of gossip. Some speculated that Mary Berry's departure was due to tensions with Hollywood, but Berry has maintained that her exit was purely out of loyalty to the BBC, and that she never even sat down with Channel 4 executives to discuss staying on.
It's gone to Channel 4, it'll be a little bit different, and I'm sure Paul Hollywood will make it a great success.
Mel Gilroy and Sue Perkins, the show's former co-hosts, also chose to remain with the BBC. However, Perkins didn't express the same level of diplomacy as Mary Berry. In a 2020 episode of the Table Manners podcast, Perkins shared her thoughts on Paul Hollywood, saying, "He was really good fun and stuff happened that made us incredibly sad and incredibly hurt. I'm devastated about what happened. I just feel that talking about it is just really uncool, and you start pointing the finger and then you become as bad as everybody else." Ged-Roich, who joined Perkins on the podcast, backed her comments but chose not to go into detail. In 2017, comedian Noel Fielding stepped into the tent as a new co-host. With his quirky humor, dry wit, and bold sense of style, he gave the show an eccentric flair. His signature heeled Chelsea boots and smudged eyeliner still hint at the rock and roll persona he's largely left behind. For those who knew Fielding from his early 2000s heyday, his casting on a wholesome baking program came as a surprise. During his art school years, Fielding drank so excessively, he ended up with alcohol-related hepatitis. As his fame grew with The Mighty Boosh, the surreal comedy act he created with Julian Barrett, he became a regular in London's infamous party circuit. Tabloids accused him of taking ketamine in the early morning hours, though Fielding claimed cocaine was his drug of choice. He later acknowledged that drugs helped him chase the same high he felt on stage performing with The Mighty Boosh. But over time, his lifestyle mellowed, likely influenced by fatherhood. He and longtime partner Liana Bird have 2 children together. In a 2024 interview with The Guardian, Fielding said, "I took partying to its logical conclusion." Before spending 3 seasons as co-host of The Great British Baking Show, Sandi Toksvig had already built a successful career as a comedian and broadcaster. But coming out publicly put both her livelihood and personal safety on the line. In 1994, Toksvig disclosed her sexuality in a Sunday Times interview, hoping to get ahead of the tabloids before they could expose her. A harsh reality for many public figures at the time. The announcement triggered intense media attention. Speaking to The Independent years later, Toksvig recalled how deeply afraid she was for the well-being of her 3 young children, whom she shared with her then partner, Peter Stewart. "We got quite a lot of death threats at the time, and we had to go into hiding. We were in hiding for about 2 weeks, and of course, during that time, I was terrified that I had done a terrible thing to my children." The backlash over Toksvig's coming out also played a role in the breakdown of her relationship with Stewart. She later explained that the public pressure to appear as an ideal couple became overwhelming and ultimately unsustainable. The 2 parted ways in 1997. In 2007, Toksvig married psychotherapist Debbie Toksvig, and the 2 have been together ever since. Riding the wave of The Great British Baking Show's popularity, Paul Hollywood crossed the Atlantic in 2013 to serve as a guest judge on the American Baking Competition, the U.S. adaptation of the hit series. There, he judged alongside chef Marcela Valladolid, and during the show's run, the 2 became involved in an affair.
I think there'll be a very interesting tension between Paul's professional eye and Marcella's eye.
After Paul Hollywood confessed to being unfaithful, his marriage to wife Alex, whom he had wed in 1998, fell apart. The tabloids quickly seized on the scandal, and the media frenzy was relentless. Hollywood was asked to leave the family home he shared with Alex and their son Joshua. In a candid July 2013 interview with The Mirror, he described the affair as the biggest mistake of my life, adding, "It's my fault. I do feel very sad about it and what it brought on the family." Though Paul Hollywood and Alex spent several years attempting to repair their marriage, they ultimately went their separate ways in 2017. Their divorce was finalized 2 years later in 2019. Hollywood remarried in 2022, but the emotional fallout within his family remained. Reports claimed that his son chose not to attend the second wedding, and that their relationship has been tense ever since Hollywood moved out of the family home. After his 2014 stint on The Great British Baking Show, fan favorite Louis Troyano embraced life wholeheartedly. Following the competition, the runner-up launched his own bakery, The Hive, in Stockport, a town near Manchester. Alongside TV appearances, Troyano also released his cookbook Bake It Great in 2015. However, in March 2019, Troyano revealed on Twitter that he was battling cancer. "Last October, I was diagnosed with cancer. Just finished 8 weeks of phase 1 chemo to get a grip of it." In early May 2019, Troyano shared another update on X, stating, "Just 9 days ago, I was admitted to have a major operation to remove my cancer and rearrange my insides due to the damage it caused. Today, I'm going home. Thank you to the incredible team who worked tirelessly to achieve that." Tragically, after a time in remission, Troyano passed away in October 2020 at just 48 years old. His widow Louise carries on his legacy by raising funds for East Cheshire Hospice, where he spent his last days. With her sharp wit and vibrant spirit, Series 15 baker Nelly Ghaffar quickly won over fans. During Biscuit Week, contestants were challenged to create a detailed puppet theater, along with puppets made entirely from cookies. But the inspiration behind Gaffar's puppet biscuits carried a deeply emotional story. She shared that her theater symbolized a dark forest, representing life's challenges, with stars shining through as guiding lights. The 5 star-shaped biscuits stood for the children she had lost to miscarriage. When Ghaffar struggled to shape the star biscuits perfectly, she showed a rare moment of distress. She later revealed on BBC Radio Solent, "The 5 stars. Only my husband knew what it was about at that point. It was the first ever time I had said it aloud." Ghaffar dedicated her biscuit centerpiece to her husband, Chand, saying it was her way of expressing love and gratitude for his unwavering support. Together, they have 2 sons. Steph Blackwell, a memorable contestant from Series 10, made a lasting impression. The 28-year-old from Chester, England, earned Star Baker 3 times consecutively and snagged the title a 4th time before faltering in the finale. Fans couldn't help but cheer her on. But the personal battles she faced on her road to success on the Great British Baking Show only came to light later. At 17, Blackwell's depression took a toll on her eating habits, leading to OSFED, other specified feeding or eating disorder, marked by obsessive thoughts around food. For her, this meant compulsively measuring portions, weighing meals, and over-exercising. By 21, the nutritional deficiencies had caused early-onset osteoporosis. Thanks to therapy and the steadfast support of her mother and grandparents, Blackwell embarked on her recovery. Baking played a significant role in her healing process. During filming, she was advised to keep her eating disorder private for her own protection. But after the show aired, Blackwell chose to share her experience openly. Speaking out has helped strengthen her recovery and offered comfort to others battling mental health challenges.
Given the platform I was given, I just was so desperate to try and help other people out there.
In 2024, just 2 years after her appearance on Series 13, Dawn Hollyoak passed away at the age of 61. She had a deep passion for the craft of baking, especially when it came to creating illusion cakes and intricate icing designs. Hollyoak was the 6th baker eliminated in her season after her Halloween-themed creations didn't quite win over the judges. A determined yet modest competitor, Hollyoak had applied to the Great British Baking Show 10 times before finally earning a spot in the tent. In her goodbye letter after elimination, she called her experience the adventure of a lifetime. She is survived by her loving children and grandchildren, as well as a devoted fan base. Terry Hartill, a memorable contestant from Series 9, was known for his quirky personality and refined palate. While his artistic touch was undeniable, he often struggled with the precision and timing crucial to succeeding on the Great British Baking Show. Ultimately, Hartill was eliminated in a double exit during Spice Week in Episode 5. His farewell message was deeply moving, as he opened up about how baking had been a source of comfort and healing following the death of his wife from cancer. "I said I wouldn't get upset. It's funny when you're on your own. My wife and I were very happy, and that was a massive loss. There wasn't anything to fill the gap for a very long time, so it's given me a focus." Hartill was met with a wave of support from fans. He requested that the producers of the Great British Baking Show share a handwritten letter expressing his gratitude to everyone who believed in his vision and nurtured his passion for baking. Before stepping into the Great British Baking Show tent, Marc Elliott was better known for his rock climbing than his baking skills. Throughout the 90s, he tackled mountains around the globe, but his climbing career came to a halt after a tragic motorcycle accident in 2016 that led to the amputation of his left leg. To help deal with the trauma, Elliott turned to baking for comfort. As a single father of 3, he was initially reluctant to audition for the show, but his daughters encouraged him to give it a try. When he was eventually eliminated, Elliott said he joined the competition to confront his anxiety. and left with a newfound sense of self-appreciation. Though his journey was inspiring, it took an unexpected turn. After losing his leg, Elliott had been receiving disability benefits, claiming that severe anxiety hindered him from completing everyday tasks. However, his public baking success on the show led to accusations of disability fraud. He ultimately pleaded guilty to unlawfully claiming over £20,000 in benefits and was sentenced to 3 years of conditional release. After winning Series 6 of the Great British Baking Show, Nadiya Hussain launched herself into the spotlight. She's since become a familiar face on British TV, starred in her own Netflix series, and authored several books. Yet, despite her success, Hussain reveals that racism has been a persistent and painful part of her experience. Her time on the show brought much-needed representation to Muslim women who wear the hijab. Hussain, who started wearing the headscarf at 14, has shared that in the past 5 years, she has faced more racial discrimination than she did throughout her entire childhood and early adulthood.
It's hard enough being a woman, but also I'm brown and I'm also a Muslim.
Hussain's encounters with heightened racism began following the September 11, 2001 attacks. She's faced everything from having objects thrown at her to being physically pushed and verbally abused. Despite this, Hussain strives to set a positive example for her children by rising above the hatred. In an interview with Desert Island Discs, she said, "One thing I don't want my kids to do is have a negative attitude to living in the UK. Because yes, there are those negative people, but they are the minority.